muckers, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having the best day ever. Thank you so much for clicking on my video and on my channel today. I really appreciate you being here and I appreciate your time. And let's go in immediately with our mucker hug. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time and we have so much to talk about. Okay, so Gabbie Hanna is back and I have been getting so many messages about this because a lot of you really get involved with the Gabbie Hanna conversation, and if you're aware, she's kind of been gone for a little bit. Oh, by the way, this is what the tattoos look like, the little people and then the little dog who's being walked. So they're finally unwrapped and they are ready to go. But anyway, Gabbie Hanna is back and has done a couple episodes of her new podcast. Now, if you're aware, Gabbie Hanna has had a podcast in the past and she's also had one before that, and it was kind of like, as it goes for a lot of these YouTubers, one of the main source of cancellations because there were so many clips from it that were, who is that? My mother. My mother. There were so many clips that were able to be taken, not out of context, but like on their own, that was kind of showing up Gabbie Hanna being not a great person. And with this new podcast, it seems like she's trying to go through like a kind of like a career rehab and resetting people's opinions on what they think that Gabbie Hanna is. So the first episode of it is called Episode 1, Save the World or Die Trying. Now, I have done notes on this because it was kind of a hard watch, so I'm not even gonna make us, you know, watch a segment of it for context or anything. I'm literally just going to, like, show you the kind of setup of what this podcast is, which is just like this. I have notes on everything, so it's kind of like this.
Just fucking social media! Which is the thing that I hate the most. So it's like, do I push myself into the thing that makes me more unhappy than anything else on this planet in order to do the thing that I love the absolute most? Or do I let go of the thing that I want to do the absolute most?
So it's basically just her sitting down in her bed, recording it on her Apple headphones, and it is 17 minutes long, and it was an intense 17 minutes. So again, I have notes on all of this, and we're gonna just go through this list. So basically, let's get into it. She starts the podcast with promoting her new album, which is called Trauma Queen, and the fact that she's doing her first ever live show in Los Angeles. Should we all go, muckers? Woohoo! Day out! No. And then she goes on to talk about the fact that what she's learned about herself and how grateful she is for her pets. She has 2 cats, I think, because they're a reflection of her energy, and her cats let her know if she's being an asshole because they will be an asshole to her in the process. Now, by the way, if you hear crumpling, keep in mind I'm back home in Ireland. I'm going back to Brighton tomorrow. Monty has a surplus, which is my rabbit, has a surplus of like chew toys and rip toys, so if you hear him, I'm not going to take them off him for the sake of this video, so if the noise, you notice it, that's what he is. He's like ripping up all these like papers and stuff like that, and he's having a jolly old time, and I'm not going to stop him just because I'm filming this video, so if you hear that, that's Monty. But yeah, she basically talks about the fact that, in opening this, that her animals are a reflection of her, and whenever she's being an asshole, her cats are being an asshole. Now, I wouldn't say that I 100% agree with this, but I understand the sentiment of, you know, your animals, your children are a reflection of how you are because you're the one raising them. I 100% see her point in that. However, she goes on to kind of derail from this point, and I identify less and less with it, and we're going to get to that in a second. But the automatic statement that, you know, your pets are what you make them based on how you raise them, I think that's a great point, and I think that a lot of people don't take that into consideration whenever they have pets, that you need to put a lot of time and effort and energy and love into these animals, and they will give it back to you. And if you don't, if you neglect them, if you don't spend enough time with them, you know, they're going to go off and do their own thing, and I thought this was a great point by her. However, she goes on to completely go against this point later on, and we will get to that. She thinks she isn't fun to be around when she isn't not doing stuff with social media. So basically, whenever she's doing stuff with social media, when she's making music and posting it, not whenever she's making it, but whenever she's posting and promoting her music, when she's making TikToks, when she's doing tweets, when she's doing Facebook, when she's doing YouTube, she says that she thinks that she is like the worst person to be around. And then she goes on to talk about the things that suck with being an artist. Now, a big part of this video is her complaining about being an artist and the things that that entails in, like, 2022. What she feels that she needs to do to upkeep being an artist. And again, if you're to watch this video, please let yourself be known going into it that she's going to talk about herself being an artist every 2 fucking seconds, because that's literally what she does. And again, I have called Gabbie Hanna an artist in the past. If she so identifies as being an artist, I am willing to be like, yes, you're an artist, you create stuff. However, when someone is so desperately, like, deep-throating you with, I am an artist. It is the biggest turn-off to me ever, and it's just like, Jesus, it's like someone having to tell you they're a nice person over and over again. Like, if you're an artist, your art will speak for itself. You don't have to continuously be telling us, but that is something that happens again. And she says, though, that there's no other option than doing social media. Now, her point in saying this will be clear in a little bit more that I get into, but basically she talks about how much she hates social media, she feels that she's in a rut with social media, she's stuck in it, she can't get out, and if she wants to be an artist, I'm gonna pull this hair out because it's really pissing me off. Oh, wow, I pulled out, like, 1, 2, 3, 4 strands of hair, which is not good whenever your hair is so bleached and so dyed, because it's falling out on its own. So, yeah. The point about social media will come up throughout this entire video. She says that she was put on this earth because she is an artist and that she has to do it, and that's the real influence that she wants to have within this lifetime. Then she starts crying and says how the world is fucked up and how she just wants to... This is like my rewriting of her badly rewritten is hard to read. She starts crying and says how the world is fucked up and how she wants to do big shit. Oh, see, I immediately glanced over that and read that she wanted to do a big shit. No, she wants to do big shit, not a big shit. And that she never stops when the world gets too frustrating for her. She cannot stop creating content. She talks about how the battle she has with doing literally anything besides music is intense and really strong, and that music is the only thing that ever makes her happy. She says how not everyone has the luxury of working at things that they like to do. She acknowledges this, but then in the video she starts complaining about the only thing that she does that she has the luxury to do, so I would take that with a pinch of salt. She goes on to talk about how her happiness is creating all day long and supporting herself solely by that. And again, whenever she's saying this, she's complaining about the fact that her life is really hard because she has to go on social media to do the thing that she wants to do. And oh my god, I've been seeing so many people say that, you know, social media is not a privilege. You know, to have this job... Oh wait, social media is a privilege. Because not everyone can literally just film stupid videos and make a living off of it. Not everyone can, you know, upload music and put a half-assed music video shot on your iPhone and that can sustain your living. So whenever someone is so actively complaining to me about their job, I'm always listening, I'm always hearing what they have to say, because again, in any job there are pros and cons. But with Gabby Hanna, it seems that she's in a constant battle with trying to persuade us that she's happy being an artist, and then also at the same time telling us everything she hates about it. And again, you can have a job where you maybe even have more cons than pros. But it is a privilege to be able to literally just create music for a living, especially whenever you're a YouTuber and you completely abandon that. Anyway, that's something that I take from this. Okay, so she cries and kind of screams about how social media is the thing that she hates the most in the world. And how angry she is at it. And how she has to throw herself into social media, which is the thing, again, that she hates the most. But she has to do that because she wants to be able to do music, and if she can't do social media, then she won't be able to do her music. So again, the entire brief of this entire podcast is basically her saying that she's so depressed doing social media, but she has to do social media to want to do music. And it's like, could you imagine being a Gabby Hanna diehard fan, and you're listening to her actively being like, I don't even want to post these videos, I don't want to be on social media, fuck TikTok, fuck YouTube, and that's like your only real engagement to her these days because she posts music every like 6 months, and she's basically saying that she doesn't want to do that in the first place. She's not happy doing it and all she wants to do is music, because Gabby has kind of derailed her career from doing YouTube now for the past few years, and there are a lot of Gabby Hanna fans out there who maybe are very interested in her YouTube videos still, or interested in, you know, her life, and all she's wanting to give them is music, which is fine, but she's actively telling them that anytime she does anything other than music, she doesn't care about it. Alright. She said that if she could live without social media, she would, but then goes on to say that it's not an option for her, which again, it's really hard hearing someone complain about something whenever the option that they could do to make themselves feel so better, they already answer it within the same sentiment and be like, I could never do this. So you're basically just screaming into a void, being like, here's what I could do to make myself feel better, which is not being on social media, but then immediately goes, I could never do that, and that's never an option. So it's like, I don't know how we could have a healthy conversation about this whenever you're constantly saying that this is what you need to do to feel so much better in your life, but you're gonna not do that because, why not? Alright. So, she goes back and forth and says that she can't do social media anymore, but then she can't do it anymore. And she said that her goal is to be successful enough in her music career that she can sustain it without having to push it on social media. Then she goes on to say she wants people to just give a fuck about her and her music, and she will push herself to be able to be at that place. Now again, That could happen for Gabby Hanna, but it'll happen at such a less pace if you're continuously telling people what your plan is, which is that you want them to only care about you and your music. So now people know that all you want them to do is care about you and your music, so it's not even like it will naturally happen anymore, because people will watch the stuff you put out being like, oh, she just wants us to care about her and her music. So I don't know why she keeps reiterating that. She says that she wants to get to a point where she'll just post her music on social media, and she talks about, now this is the part of the video that I have a very iffy opinion on. She talks about WEED. Now I'm not going to say the name because YouTube will be like, let's get this video down. But she basically talks about WEED. I'm just going to call it W throughout this video. But she talks about how W is so important to her. Mother, please, I'm filming. It's always a case. It's always a case where I'm filming. I love you, Mom, but you're literally in the bathroom, so there's no need to text me right now. But I love you and I'll respond to you right after this video. Or I'll literally walk outside my door and talk to you. She talks about how W is so important to her and how she's feeling like whenever she's not high that she can't connect with her animals. Yes. She openly states in this video, which I have a real problem with, and I really don't care to say that she cannot identify or really connect to her animals unless she is so stoned. I don't really know why she's saying this, because it really doesn't make her look good, and also as a pet owner, it's a very irresponsible thing to say. It doesn't matter what your opinion is on W, but to say that whenever you're not on W, you'll never identify or feel that you can connect with your animals, it's not really the best statement to ever say. I'm gonna be honest. Because on one side it means that you have to be on W all the time if you're being nice to your animals or connecting with them. But then whenever you're not, which most people aren't all the time, that you don't connect with your animals? Like, that's a thing that you kind of consider whenever you get animals. Anyways. She says she can't pet them without wanting to do anything else if she's not high. Now again, I really don't appreciate the conversation of not being able to interact with your animals properly unless you're stoned. And then she says how W is good for her because she needs it to basically be able to do normal tasks. And that there's a lot going on in her brain and that she wants to be able to practice balance, but she can't because she's always on it. She says she's addicted to the feeling of creating stuff, but she can't create stuff whenever she's not high AF. I also love the conversation about decriminalizing W and talking openly about it, but I also think at the same time it's really irresponsible, and we would hold any other creator to this and not just Gabby, and I feel like no other creator would get away with this, but Gabby would because she's kind of made this her brand. To come on to your audience of mainly children, she's been in group chats with 12-year-olds, so she's aware that her audience are quite young, and basically talk about the fact that she can't operate without W, or she can't operate without being high AF. It's not the best message to put out there at all. At all. But there's more. She says how many people have told her that she doesn't need substances to do stuff like this, but she feels that she can't and that she'll never be able to shut off without it. She reiterates how much, so much throughout this video, that whenever she smokes, she can turn off her brain. And then she touches upon wanting to create clothes, because for her show, she's gonna, like, create her own, like, clothing kind of brand of, like, you know, off pieces that she'll sell and auction off. And then she goes on about how miserable she is without W. And then she says that she loves alone time and doesn't like to get dependent on people because she normally will meet people and get codependent on them, which is why she kind of stays alone and smokes. And then a quote from Gabby says, "I'm really fucking extreme." I just wrote that down. And also a quote that she says, and then never really goes back to touch upon, is, "I don't realize that I'm dying." Now again, no real context was given to that whatsoever. She just kind of said it. So I don't really know how to explain that further than she just said, "I feel like," or "I don't realize I'm dying." Alright. She says how she's taking her time on projects now, which she's never really done in the past, and she keeps going on about how she hates social media and everything in her life is just because of the pressure of social media. And it's like, ma, quit then. Quit then. Like, you don't need it. You don't need, if it's so, you've made your money, unless you've been so recklessly spending your money, Gabby Hanna. I don't know why I gave her the full title. Gabby. You can leave. This entire thing. And all the comments are like, Gabby, we feel so bad for you. Why? She's openly saying in this video how miserable, how depressed, how her life is awful because of social media. But then will openly say in the video that she'll never quit it. Because she doesn't want to. Alright. And again, she goes on to say how she hates social media because it affects her daily life. And then another quote from her, I need to keep working really, really fucking hard. I need to believe in myself the way I used to before everyone told me I sucked and I believed it. And then another quote says, how awesome is fucking life? Life is so long, there is so much to do, so many things in your life. So a lot of back and forth. It was very clear that she was smoking during this podcast. Then she talks about her paranoia with W, and she talks about being hyper-aware with W, and she talks about how, this is my last statement, she only likes herself whenever she's high, and that's the only way when she feels that her cats feel comfortable with her. I really don't appreciate knowing how young her audience is and how dependent she's making this conversation about existing on being high AF all the time. And that she needs to be high AF to be able to like connect and be able to sit still and pet her cats. And be able to know that her cats are loving her and that she loves her cats. So anyway, that was episode 1 of this podcast. There are many more. So I'll get to them in due time. The first one was quite a lot to process within itself, as you can imagine. But I want to know your opinion on her comeback podcast. We can talk about it below. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching this video, mucker. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.